Kinchu, I am so excited to have this opportunity to speak with you at a moment in time where there is so much upheaval and disruption with refugees having to flee for their lives from Ukraine. And you have been on the front line. You're now, right now, in Budapest, Hungary. And I'm just so excited to have you as one of my colleagues as a part of United Way. So, could you just share a little bit about your role with United Way, what you've been doing on the ground these last couple of weeks, and just share any information that would be helpful at such a critical time in the world's history?
Okay, so my name is Kincső, and I'm leading United Way Hungary. I think for 6 years now, or even 7. Oh my gosh, I don't counting. And what is happening right now here in Hungary is something which is scary, and
Yes.
really I think it touches all of us, and really difficult time to be in Budapest right now, uh, because what's happening at the border, seeing women and children crossing the border, in awful shape, freezing, many of them sick, with small and infant babies. And I see those terrified refugees, sorrow and pain. And this is something which really, to tell you the truth, I never experienced in my life before. It was shocking. I was never been in a war situation. But what is good, and I'm trying to sort of stick to this. On the other hand, I see immediate help and support from the Hungarian people and from
Yes.
all over the world. United Way Hungary is in service here in Hungary for 30 years, and I haven't seen such a bold movement of getting united to help. So this is something which I also never seen before. It's amazing. And you know the numbers that more than 2 million refugees have fled from Ukraine so far. And Hungary so far approximately received 200,000 refugees, and mostly women and children. And why them? Because men are not allowed to leave the country. So families in front of our eyes are really teared apart. And this is something which is really awful to see.
It's very heart wrenching, and you have actually gone to the border crossing where the refugees from Ukraine are coming into Hungary. Um, Describe the atmosphere, and what if you could put words to what you're feeling when you're there, and what's the emotions that are coming up for you and for the refugees.
The situation in Hungary is that we have a very low number of refugee centers in Hungary. So basically, what happened immediately where the war hit us, that the civic organization, local municipalities, local families, they were immediately the ones who started to help. And they were accommodating a very high number of refugees. So basically, I would say that shock was first. It was chaos at the beginning, but what was immediately after is basically help and love and support. That's what we saw immediately. So big aid centers were built at the borders. We are in partnership with the one at Beregsurány, and they are really taking care of them with shelter, like food. We also brought food, baby supply, medication, because refugees sometimes come, in a very bad shape because they were standing in the queue in the border some of them for a whole day,
Yes.
and they are freezing, they cold. So what they need immediately is a hot water and a hot tea and hot soup. So this is really immediate support is needed to them. And
And then, though, in addition to the immediate support of food, shelter, clothing, there's even a longer term support in terms of you have children that are school age that need to be educated, and potentially there are some language um, and translation issues that need to be addressed. And then third, you have seniors that have crossed the border, and how do you help with elder care? How do you allow people to start getting jobs? So people need to understand that there are the short-term needs, but there are even more critical, not more critical, but even longer term needs that are going to remain critical for years to come potentially.
absolutely. So the very first week, everybody was just giving this immediate support. And the translation, basically, we had volunteers at the border who spoke the Ukrainian language, and because not all of the Ukrainians speak English, or it was very difficult for them to communicate. So there was also volunteers for translation. And at the border, there's a professional staff. We have 5 borders with Ukraine, and all 5 really well equipped now. But I think it took like a week. Like it's still building. It's like small cities now there,
Yes.
and they really supporting the refugees with all what they need, immediate support. And there's several issues that has to be handled with paperwork. Most of the refugees arrive, but they know where they're going. So we are a transit country. They have relatives in other countries, in other parts of Europe, so they just sort of passing through Hungary. They also need some support, but there are some who stay over one night and they would need some shelter, food, and all the services. But there's a substantial amount, and mostly those who not belong to the wealthy, inhabit. So they are not so wealthy, and they have no place to go. They have no plans where to go, and we need to support them. And they are placed in the local villages by the municipality, in like the school's big gymnasium, or like in cultural centers when they have big rooms with the facilities, and they supporting them. And that's exactly what you were saying. Here comes the longer term support, and that's what we do we are working right now to engage the kids. uh, just imagine that 80 people stuffed in one room, and the kids
Yes.
go crazy. So we need to do something, play with them, to do arts and crafts with them. And the government already announced that they should be enrolled in the Hungarian education system, but there's so much barriers. One, the language is one of them. Also, some of them, they just simply don't go for whatever reasons, and we are planning to reach out to those kids.
Can we talk a little bit about how people can support United Way through donations? We've set up a United Way, a Ukraine um, donation fund. People can find that on our website at unitedway.org. But what can people do as they're giving the money? What would you use the money for? Because we want to make sure that we are able to support our United Way colleagues in Poland, Hungary, and Romania. So as we continue to solicit funds, what would you use the funds for?
We would use the funds always where the need is. So the first need, I can tell you the experience of the last 1 week, that the immediate support was needed in goods, in food, in medication. Medication is a highly need. So really, we needed to emphasize and getting more support there. Also baby support, baby food. So first of all, the basic needs, that was first. And I think the second, and now institutions, and we are just started to work on that, how to make a coalition on supporting those kids who will stay here. So I think basic needs first. You wouldn't believe, but it's cold out there. They need blankets. They are, at the train station sometimes for a whole day. And in Hungary, it's still like at night it was minus 15 degrees, which
Wow.
is quite cold. So they first of all they need the basics, and then we can think about education and then jobs for those who would stay. So basically, that's where the money will go for the exact needs to support those who stay in Hungary, and also who are passing through.
I'm glad that United Way has the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives at a very critical moment in world's history. So, by standing up our United Ukraine Fund to raise funds for our United Way colleagues in Romania, Hungary, and Poland, we are able to get those funds to you all so that we can meet the basic needs of the refugees, that we can also help them be sustained with housing, jobs, transportation as they're transitioning to new places, new homes, new communities, education support, everything, because they left behind their entire lives in Ukraine. And so funds are needed to help them be reestablished in new communities. So it's important at this moment for all of us to come together, not only individuals, but corporations. And what's also incredible is that you all are partnering with the government, with companies, individuals on the ground on a daily basis to work with the Ukrainian refugees. So I just want to thank you for what you're doing. I know it's incredibly hard work. I know that it can be emotionally draining, but you all do this work with such grace, and you all do it with such commitment. And I just want to commend you all, my colleagues right now that are on the ground on the front lines, and just thank you for your fortitude and thank you for your sense of humanity.
Thank you for all your support. It's great to be united, and belong to this great network.
Yes. Kinchu, can you tell us approximately how many people United Way Hungary has helped so far in terms of the Ukrainian refugees?
So the war started on the 24th of February, and a week later, we delivered our first truck with foods and with supply. We the destination was Lonia, one of the border countries, and at the moment, 80 people were there. So the immediate support went there, and since that, we probably reached another 100 child with the engagement activity that we are doing with them. But our hope is that we will support more and more with all the help and all the support that we receive from all over the world. There are lots of people to support and to help.
Yes. So the more support that we can get to you all, the more people that you all can help. And I certainly appreciate that. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you all are doing with the children? You said you've been doing some activities with the children, and can you share about the trauma that these children are experiencing?
This is something which cannot be really sort of told, because we see these kids. I just heard one of them saying that she wants to go back to the different universe, and this different universe was basically her home.
Mm.
And children are shocked at the beginning, but in a few days, if they are properly taken care of, then they can start to play. And this was amazing to see. But I really, it's awful to see that in front of our eyes, these children will be hurt for the rest of their lives, because this is something that they can never forget. I think the most depressing point for them is leaving their father,
Yeah.
because usually women and their kids are escaping, and even sometimes kids alone crossing the border for several reasons. They lost each other, and I think that trauma that they are basically losing each other, and the mother have no idea in the war whether they can see each other again. It's something which definitely immediately needs attention. And I'm pretty sure that, even let's hope that the war will end very soon, this trauma will stay with them, and we have to give them that support on a longer run.
Kinchu, you just really highlighted something that I don't think people really think about, that this experience is life altering, and it has impact on adults and children. You've pointed out already that women, mothers, have had to leave their husbands behind to escape the war. And then you talk about children that are leaving their fathers behind, children that have been crossing the border by themselves, children that were separated
Yeah.
from family members. That is incredibly traumatic. It's sad. And so there is that kind of wraparound services and support, trauma support, healing that is going to be needed. And again, this is not short term. This is long term. Families torn apart is just an awful, gut wrenching situation. So I'm just so thankful for you and your colleagues being there, coming up with creative solutions to be able to meet these serious short term and long term needs. So here's my next question for you. How are you personally managing through this? Because I'm sure you're affected emotionally as well. And how are you supporting your team as they're supporting the refugees?
I mean, you touched upon a very sensitive question, in a way that this really something that reached us, because in Hungary nobody knows whether the war will stay uh, in Ukraine, or we are very close. Basically, we are just the neighboring country, and everybody in Hungary is really considering, what is happening if the war reaches us. We could be in that situation in moments.
Yeah.
And what would I do? Where would I go? Probably I experienced the same feelings what the Ukrainian women did. Okay, where do I have relative? Where can I escape? I'm not these are questions which really arise in our minds, and actually with the team we discussed it with with everyone nowadays. And I'm trying to be very positive, and a very positive person, and focusing on those things that lift me up, to be able to help and support, and not dragged down by these sort of thoughts. So it's really scary. They are very close to us. It's happening next door. And so with the team, we focusing on the immediate work that we need to do. We concentrate, and basically this is helping us, because it's taking our attention, and we focusing on what needs to be done.
Well, I just want you to know that our thoughts and prayers across the United Way network are with you all. And however we can continue to support you, whether we're overseas in the United States or in Europe or Asia, since we are a global network, we do stand with you all and want to do everything that we can to get you the needed supplies and support for you all, as well as your Ukrainian neighbors, because these are neighbors that
Yes.
are going through this trauma at this moment. So thank you.
Absolutely. We with them and we will stay with them. We really fight for them.
Yes. Kinshu, something that is very concerning is the potential for human trafficking at the border. Is that happening? Can you tell us what you think is going on or what you may be seeing?
Yes, unfortunately, it is scary, but it's happening. We were at Beregsurány, where we experienced that young, very beautiful Ukrainian girls, teens, are approached by criminals, and they are
Mhm.
promising them money and hope, helping their families, and they are taking them. And there's a strong fight by the Hungarian police and also the civic organization who are professionals to deal with this kind of crime. But it's a rising issue here in Hungary.
Yes, so human trafficking is something we have to keep our eyes on, and that's one of the things that United Way focuses on and has received donations to provide support in this area. This is a cause that we are deeply concerned about. So we will continue as part of our fundraising efforts to partner with other organizations and our own experts within the United Way network to combat human trafficking. Kinshu, I'm just so glad that you and I are a part of the United Way network, which is a global network. And so we have launched the United for Ukraine donation site, which is found on unitedway.org's website, so that people can give to support our United Way partners in Hungary, Poland, and Romania. So I hope that people watching this video know that they have a way to provide support to all of our United Way colleagues that are working on the ground in Poland, Romania, and Hungary supporting Ukrainian refugees.